G'day and welcome to this Australian Open Life. We tell stories and our story is Grand Slam tennis. G'day, thanks for joining us at this Australian Open Life. Really glad you're able to join us today because we've got some big news. Well, the Australian Open 2025 main draw entry list, they've been released with the strongest fields possible, set to compete at Melbourne Park in January 2025. Now, every member of the ATP Tour and the WTA Tour Top 50, they've all signed on to play the tournament, where the main draw action begins on the 12th of January 2025. AO 2025 entry lists for men and women reveal the first 104 players directly accepted into both the men's and the women's singles draws. Now, there's going to be a further 8 places reserved for wildcard entries, and the first of these was secured by Zhang Shui and Kazadit Samrej. Zhang from China and Samrej from Thailand, they were the winners of the recent AO Asia Pacific Wildcard Playoff. And look out for future episodes in our Spotlight series. We'll be going through the wildcards and letting you know who they all are, and especially the Australians. Now, to complete the 128 player fields in both the men's and the women's draw, the remaining 16 places will be filled by qualifiers. Preparations are well underway. Why don't you join the conversation? Let us know your thoughts. Who do you think are the top contenders for the Australian Open this year? There's no Nadal, there's no Federer, there is no Murray, but what about the Joker? That man Djokovic, his last ever visit to Melbourne this year to compete in the Aussie Open and Australian Open 2025. Now, the newly retired Andy Murray has been named by Djokovic as his latest coach. So will the Joker go bust or glory at Melbourne Park? He has owned that centre court for quite some time now. Now, the funny thing about the Joker and Murray teaming up together is that Djokovic beat Murray 69% of the time they played. So why is Murray his new coach? Now, it could well be an unlikely pairing of Novak Djokovic and Andy Murray, but it may prove to be a winner at the Australian Open 2025. Looking at the WTA Tour, the women's side of the draw, well, headlining the women's entry lists is world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, aiming to become the first woman since Martina Hingis in 1999 to win 3 consecutive Australian Open titles. We've got a returning player, the Tokyo 2020 Olympic gold medalist Belinda Bencic. She's coming back using a protected ranking, and she's making a comeback following the birth of her daughter Bella in April 2024. And what about new mum Naomi Osaka? She came back last year after a break from becoming a new mum. Can she join the ranks of other past Grand Slam champions to win again as a new mum? Time will tell. On the 6th of December, just a few days ago, the full field for the Australian Open 2025, the entry lists have been released. We'll put a link below to the men's singles entry list and the women's singles entry list for you that you can check it out yourself. ATP Tour, Jannik Sinner, the Italian tops the men's list with the world number 1 hunting back-to-back Australian Open crowns and his second straight major title after his controversial US Open win in September 2024. And a fan favourite, Kei Nishikori, he's back. The former world number 4 enters the Australian Open 2025 with a protected ranking of 48th, marking his first Australian Open appearance since 2021. It'd be great to see him back. A fan favourite there. And what about the Aussies? Well, let's take a break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. G'day and welcome to this Australian Open Live. We tell stories and our story is Grand Slam tennis, and coming to you live shot from the home of the Australian Open at Melbourne Park, produced by Wise Words Media. We're based in Melbourne, Australia, and bringing you the sights, sounds, summer of tennis. The Australian Open tournament starts in mid-January 24, and boy, we can't wait. Welcome back to this Australian Open Live. We tell stories, and our story is Grand Slam tennis. Qualifying for the Australian Open starts on the 6th of January 2025 at Melbourne Park, and the tournament gets underway Sunday, the 12th of January 2025, with the men's final wrapping things up. Both the men's and women's side for the Aussies. Well, what's going on in the men's ranks? Well, it's fair to say that Aussie men's tennis has never been better over the last 2 to 3 years. Top 10 star Alex de Minaur, the Demon, he's heading up a strong field. Kubler and Co, Hijikata, Jordan Thompson, they'll be fighting along with Max Purcell to wrestle the mantle of best bloke of Aussie men's tennis from the retired but never shy statesman of Aussie sports and player advocate John Millman. This will be his first year enjoying retirement. Another returning player is everybody's head turned by this guy when he's on fire, and even when he's not firing. Box office Nick Kyrgios, the 2022 Wimbledon finalist, is returning at AO 2025 using a protected ranking. Now he must be taking things seriously. He's teaming up again with his Australian Open 2022 men's doubles champion partner, Classy Tanasi Kokonakis. The news in the men's doubles, you might remember in January 2022, Kokonakis and Kyrgios finished a wild ride at that year with the title. They dubbed the Special Ks. They put on a special show to land the Australian Open 2022 men's doubles titles. The Special Ks defeated Aussies Matthew Ebden and Max Purcell in the 2022 Australian Open final 7-5, 7-6 to win the tennis title for men's doubles in an All-Australian final at Melbourne Park that year. And for those interested in trivia, it was the first All-Australian men's doubles final since Mark Edmondson and Kim Warwick down Peter McNamara and Paul McNamee, the Supermax, in 1980 at Kooyong in Melbourne. For those of you that have been with us the last 2 to 3 years since we've got going at this Australian Open Live, we cover the qualifying matches, those playoff matches in depth. There's 3 rounds for men and women with playoff places, finals there, hotly contested and peppered with up-and-comers and well-known players returning from injury if they've got protected rankings. Now those remaining 16 places that are going to be filled by qualifiers, that'll be determined on the 9th of January, those finals, the final round of the qualifying tournament, lighting up Melbourne Park during an action-packed Australian Open opening week there at Melbourne Park. We're going to take a quick break, so don't go away, we'll be right back. To have your company today as we go through the big news for this week for the Australian Open 2025. The full field of the Australian Open 2025 entry lists have been released, so let's get down to the to the things that matter with preparations underway for the Australian Open. It runs from the 17th of January, Sunday the 17th of January, the second year it's starting on a Sunday, concluding on the 30th of January 2024. Hang on a second, did we say there's other information about ground passes? Yes, there is. Now, you can also find 7-day ground passes between the 22nd and the 28th of January only, and we won't run through all the benefits there, but if you're willing to part with 139 Australian dollars you'll get great value there. So I guess that's for the hardcore tennis fans that know that they definitely want to be going every day to the Australian Open. That is an expensive week if you're not taking your own food as well. But all this information is on the Australian Open website. It is ausopen.com/ticket-info. And once you go to that website for the Australian Open, you'll be taken through and you'll be able to just look for the, it's right up there on the top of the page, ground passes, and you'll be able to get your tickets there, and you'll be able to find tickets and get more information as you need them. But the ground passes, to finish off, that'll take you on an iconic Melbourne Park adventure, and you can explore the incredible world of food and beverages and entertainment on Grand Slam Oval. You can catch up with the tennis up close in Kia Arena and the Western Courts, all the show courts. There's some great show courts on the outdoors there, and some really great viewing areas. And you don't have to, all you need is just to be able to find a seat, unreserved seating only, of course, and they're available there for you to book. This Australian Open Life is produced by Wise Words Media. We're based in Melbourne, Australia. We are the experts about all things Melbourne Park, and all things Australian Open 2024. So stick around with us during the Australian Open 2024. We'll be bringing you live match commentary, audio only, radio style commentary throughout the first week of the Australian Open, and as we get into the second week, and we'll be picking and choosing some of our favourite upcoming matches with some of the lesser known players. We like focusing on the wild cards and those outside the top 100, the qualifiers, those that get through, and we like following the lesser known players and bringing a little bit of colour to the Australian Open for you. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and bye for now.